OpenAI has finally folded Codex into the ChatGPT Desktop app, and honestly, this is one of the best news I've heard in a very long time. Since then, I've been using the ChatGPT Desktop app so often that some days I now use it even more than Claude. But I really love ChatGPT. It was actually the tool that helped me make my first money online. In this video, I'm going to show you the 4 projects that give me the most satisfying results, including 4 kinds of work I haven't been able to complete as reliably in Claude. And towards the end, I'll show you some of the visual design and interface details that make ChatGPT app just so much faster for me to use. Even if you've already using AI or ChatGPT every day, I think these small details could completely change your workflow. If this is your first time here, hi, I'm Jenny. I believe anyone can thrive with AI, not by mastering the tools, but by building real things with them. I write a weekly newsletter called Build to Launch, where we apply AI to practical building and actually finish something real every week. Okay, back to ChatGPT. But before we jump into the projects, I wanted to clear up all of those different names first. So, does anyone remember Atlas? Atlas was OpenAI's browser app. OpenAI is now retiring it and moving its browser-based agent features into ChatGPT and Codex. Then there was the separate Codex app, which is OpenAI's coding agent. It works directly with the files, repositories, and terminal on your computer. In the top left, you choose ChatGPT or Codex. Under ChatGPT, you've got Chat or Code or Work. Codex remains its own separate view for code. If you use Claude, this is the easiest rough mapping. ChatGPT's Chat is like Claude's regular chat. ChatGPT Work is the closest to Claude Cowork, and Codex is the direct counterpart to Claude Code. The capabilities are actually pretty identical, and this is the easiest way to understand where everything sits. And for me, the ChatGPT interface is a lot easier to use. What is really worth knowing is how fast this product has been moving and how many useful features they added in about a month. But the real question for me was, which of my actual jobs get easier now? Okay, on to the jobs. The first job I gave ChatGPT was editing my YouTube video. I've wanted to be on YouTube for a very long time, but video editing was always the part that stopped me. I was still learning how to be present on camera, and I had no idea how to edit all of the visuals around me. I couldn't spend one day recording a video and then the next 5 days editing it just to upload one thing. I need that time to test, build, and play with AI, right? So when ChatGPT app is there, I was like, I wanted to test it, and I used ChatGPT and Claude side by side, and I've already used ChatGPT for a long time to create consistent images. For visual creativity, ChatGPT has always been my first choice. So when Codex became part of the ChatGPT app, I thought, fine, maybe I'm finally going to try to make a YouTube video and hand it over all the raw pieces and ask ChatGPT to put the entire thing together for me. That is why, seemingly out of nowhere, there is now a Hermes video on my channel, and that was my first full YouTube video. And when I started making it, I genuinely did not know what A-roll was or what B-roll was. I gave myself one real attempt. I spent a full day asking the app to walk me through the process, and it taught me all the vocabulary, the fonts, the tags, the frames, the captions, and all of it. So from me knowing literally nothing, so ChatGPT gave me all the confidence to try. I never opened a video editor. I didn't even switch to a browser tab to create the images. And I didn't pay for extra image generation API credits either. ChatGPT generated the visuals and even my thumbnail inside the app because it was already included in my subscription. So basically, I provided the raw input, and ChatGPT kept taking each piece, separating it, arranging it, and adding everything the finished video needed. That still boggles my mind. If this is the process, I can spend my time talking, testing, and making videos. Now, the next project is even funnier. The video is then turned into a podcast, and I now have an automated pipeline that keeps working for me for like that. So it turns the approved audio from my YouTube video into a hosted podcast that automatically feeds into Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So how did I even do all of that? The idea is that once you have the video up, sometimes people don't always have the time or bandwidth to sit down and watch a video, so you may as well turn it into a podcast that people can listen to while they are commuting, doing dishes, walking around or something. So I give it exactly one thing, the approved audio from that YouTube video. Then I told it I wanted a show on Apple Podcast and Spotify, and it just did the whole thing. It went and figured out what each directory requires. It set up the storage, the feed, the publisher, and the tests. All of it. And of course, it is also hosted on my own website, so I don't even need to pay for extra podcast hosting at all. This one was honestly the cleanest of all 4 jobs because it kind of just went through everything and got it done. And the next moment, it handed me back the live show. Of course, there are also a lot of drawbacks because, again, I just don't have that much knowledge yet about how a podcast should be run. I still need to improve the way the audio sounds, and there are a lot of growth-related things I haven't adopted yet, so I should really spend time working on those as well. Now, the third job I give ChatGPT is something more normal. It is a coding project, and I have my own short-form notes system that has been using scheduled tasks. I had no way to check where its entry point is, where its breaking point was, where its output was, or if the workflow broke, what was causing it to break. It would be perfect if all of those workflows were more visible to me, so when something breaks, I can actually see where it happens. So I asked ChatGPT to show me the workflow first, and then we could start wiring everything into the back end and wiring up all my files side by side, so it was all running through the same real data. And the most mind-blowing part is that I asked only for a prototype. But when it showed up, I could actually go in there, I could click into one, drag cards around, and actually watch the data move. And then it generated 3 prototypes. So I could see the good part, the bad part, and how they all worked against each other. And I made my pick of a hybrid of 2. They got me most of the way really fast. I was literally only hoping for a prototype. The full right path is still being wired and checked, but now I can actually see and steer it. The last job I give ChatGPT is really small, and this is the one that became a huge unlock for me. So, for running AI, one of the best practices is to run AI in short chats, right? One task at a time. But then you end up with tens or hundreds of little tasks, and you can never find anything again. Every chat gets buried underneath the next one. I actually archived one by accident, the one where I was planning this exact article. I just described it and asked about it. It found the exact task, restored it, and pinned it to the top. It even checked the wrong one first and took my correction, which I really appreciate so much. I liked that I could see it working. And now, come to the small things that really made me stay, and you should try it too. First, of course, the prerequisite. We understand that ChatGPT runs agents in parallel just like Claude does, except they have different names. Claude calls them sub-agents, and ChatGPT calls them parallel agents. But overall, the ideas are pretty much the same. And there is also this little pad that you can click and show. It looks silly, but I genuinely love it. This pad is not there just for fun though. You can click on the pad and see what status each of your tasks is. So it's a quick way of keeping track. And the next part I really appreciate is that During any chat session, you can highlight any part of the chat. Then you click Add to Chat, and it opens an inbox where you can add your comment, your feedback, or your opinion, especially to that highlighted cluster of text. I find it extremely useful because it is really tedious for me to copy one particular sentence, paste it back into the chat box, add my feedback, and then go back and forth for a few rounds to add all my feedback. With this little feature, my communication with ChatGPT just becomes so much more effective. And the last part of the UI that I really appreciated is that during the task, you can see where the edits are happening. At the end of the task, it even shows you what it has already read, which files it edited. You don't have to scroll all the way up to find where the edits happened. So I always wanted to stay in the loop and see how it makes things happen. In my Claude Code workflow, it is much harder for me to visualize and review all those changes in one place. All these little decisions, these little design choices really speak to my heart, because when you are the human making the judgment call, that's exactly the kind of interface you want. So now the real question is, would you switch? Should you switch? And if you ask me the same question, my honest answer is I did not completely switch to ChatGPT. I kept both Claude and ChatGPT. Claude is still my strategist and for the jobs where the work has to ship and also look good. But ChatGPT is what I really reach for now, for guiding, for designing, for taking hierarchical actions. But I didn't actually pick one. The reason is simple. The thing that matters isn't the app, it's the system around it. It's essentially what sits underneath it. My skills, my files, my MCPs, my scheduled tasks, they all run across both because I keep one working second brain, one source of truth that any model can plug into, so I can swap the tools without even rebuilding the system underneath it. And now the question of whether you should switch to ChatGPT is that if you are deep in Claude and your setup already works, honestly, I think you should just stay. But if you want stronger visual work or the cost of Claude is starting to sting, try ChatGPT, and I would start on the $20 plan. It is enough to really drive it without overpaying just to find out if it is the right tool for you. And if you are sitting there deciding between ChatGPT and Claude, this video and the 4 jobs should probably give you best stress test already. And if you want a written version of this, I've got the full write-up in my newsletter linked below. Go check it out, and I hope it helps you figure out where this app actually fits in your own work. And if you want more videos like this one, hit like and subscribe. And before you go, tell me in the comments, of the 4 projects I tried, which one would you hand to ChatGPT first? See you next time.